Hi everyone, it's Nicole Witt here, your miracle mentor. Thank you for joining me. And this video is the third video in a series where we are looking at the preface of A Course in Miracles. And so we've already done two videos. One was on how it came. Second one was on what it is. And this is the third and final one that is entitled What It Says. So what the Course in Miracles says. And if you did watch those prior videos, you'll remember in the very first video, Helen Schuckman said in the preface that the first two sections, the prior two videos, she wrote those sections explaining where it came from and what it is. This section, what it says, she says, was written by the voice. So this is a channeled part. And so I'm just going to start reading and we'll stop as we go along. So again, this is the preface, and it's the third section of it where it talks about what it says, what the Course in Miracles says. And it starts with, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So we're going to see that statement again later, but it's being repeated here. So nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. This is how A Course in Miracles begins. It makes a fundamental distinction between the real and the unreal, between knowledge and perception. Knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. Truth is unalterable, eternal, and unambiguous. It can be unrecognized, but it cannot be changed. It applies to everything that God created, and only what He created is real. It is beyond learning because it is beyond time and process. It has no opposite, no beginning, and no end. It merely is. So what I found interesting in that paragraph where it says knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. So right there, he's making that comparison or that statement of equality, love and God. God is love, love is God. So that's what we're talking about, right? It goes on. The world of perception, on the other hand, is the world of time, of change, of beginnings and endings. It is based on interpretation, not on facts. It is the world of birth and death, founded on the belief in scarcity, loss, separation, and death. It is learned rather than given, selective in its perceptual emphasis, unstable in its functioning, and inaccurate in its interpretations. Okay, so that's the world of perception. That's what we perceive when we're using perception instead of knowledge. From knowledge and perception, respectively, two distinct thought systems arise, which are opposite in every respect. In the realm of knowledge, no thoughts exist apart from God, because God and His creation share one will. The world of perception, however, is made by the belief in opposites and separate wills, in perpetual conflict with each other and with God. What perception sees and hears appears to be real because it permits into awareness only what conforms to the wishes of the perceiver. This leads to a world of illusions, a world which needs constant defense precisely because it is not real. And, there's been a lot of talk lately, a lot of different studies coming out. There's actual names of them. I don't know them off the top of my head. I'm sure some people do. Where they are, scientific studies coming out now where the mind, we know that the actual brain, this actual organ that we perceive as being in our head and directing us and all of that, is being selective in what it shows us based upon what we believe we're going to see. We have a thought, I'm going to see X. I'm going to see danger. And our brain goes, oh, okay, let's look out for danger. Here's some, here's some, here's some, here's some. And it just shows us all of those things that we already believe in. So you can see how this loop is a reinforcing loop. We have a belief. Because we have that belief, we see the evidence, which then reinforces the belief. Okay, it's a closed loop system. When you have been caught in the world of perception, you are caught in a dream. You cannot escape without help, because everything your senses show merely witnesses to the reality of the dream, like I was just saying. God has provided the answer, the only way out, the true helper. It is the function of His voice, His Holy Spirit, to mediate between the two worlds. He can do this because, while on the one hand He knows the truth, on the other He also recognizes our illusions, but without believing in them. This is the Holy Spirit He's talking about. It is the Holy Spirit's goal to help us escape from the dream world by teaching us how to reverse our thinking and unlearn our mistakes. Forgiveness is the Holy Spirit's great learning aid in bringing this thought reversal about. However, the Course has its own definition of what forgiveness really is, just as it defines the world in its own way. Okay, so he's telling us right here that he is going to use forgiveness, that word, to describe a process that is different than the general consensus of what that word means in the world, right? We tend to think of forgiveness as somebody did something bad to me, but I'm going to be good and forgive them. And that's not what he's talking about here. The world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. Okay? Remember, this is all coming from us. So if we see a world that is dangerous and unsafe and people fighting, that's only the projection from my mind. And I'm seeing what I want to see based on the projection that's inside of me. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we are being good and charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true. We have distorted the world by our twisted defenses and are therefore seeing what is not there. As we learn to recognize our perceptual errors, we also learn to look past them or forgive. At the same time, we are forgiving ourselves, looking past our distorted self-concepts to the self that God created in us and as us. So he's giving us the Course's definition of forgiveness here, which is to recognize my perceptual errors, to recognize that if I'm seeing anything other than love outside, or anything that's other than love, because all of that is not real, all of that is coming from me, then that is my perceptual error. And I look past that. I realize that is untrue. That is forgiveness as the Course is using it. And I get to forgive. I'm only ever forgiving myself because everything is coming from me. Okay? But in that process, I also get to play around with this idea of different parts of me and other bodies, but I'm always only forgiving myself. Sin is defined as lack of love. Since love is all there is, sin in the sight of the Holy Spirit is a mistake to be corrected, rather than an evil to be punished. Our sense of inadequacy, weakness, and incompletion comes from the strong investment in the scarcity principle that governs the whole world of illusions. From that point of view, we seek in others what we feel is wanting in ourselves. We love another in order to get something ourselves. That, in fact, is what passes for love in the dream world. There can be no greater mistake than that, for love is incapable of asking for anything. So this paragraph starts off saying that sin is a lack of love. That's the only mistake we ever make, is believing in a lack of love. And it all comes from this idea of scarcity, that there's not enough love, that we don't have enough love, and that love is a scarce resource that can show up in different ways in our life, right? Time, money, anything we think we don't have enough of. What we're really believing is we don't have enough love, which is a lie. And so when we form these relationships, we are basically trying to get that love that we think we're missing from somebody else. We're trying to take it from them. And so we're basically giving to get, right? I'll make you feel special and loved if you make me feel special and loved. And in fact, that is what passes for love in this world, for a love relationship in this world. We call that love. You agree to make me feel good, I agree to make you feel good, or whatever the need is, we're agreeing to giving to get. And it says that love is incapable of asking for anything because it's whole and complete. So we have it all backwards. Only minds can really join, and whom God has joined, no man can put asunder. It is, however, only at the level of Christ mind that true union is possible and has, in fact, never been lost. The little I, so your little self, seeks to enhance itself by external approval, external possessions, and external love, in quotation marks. The self that God created, your big self, big S self, is forever complete, safe, loved, and loving. It seeks to share rather than to get, to extend rather than project. It has no needs and wants to join with others out of their mutual awareness of abundance. The special relationships of the world are destructive, selfish, and childly egocentric. And our special relationships are any relationship that we're having that is not wholly joyous and peaceful. So yeah, probably most of our relationships, and again, not only with seemingly other people, it can be money, time, your dog, your house, whatever attachment relationship that you have. Yet if given these special relationships to the Holy Spirit, these relationships can become the holiest things on earth, the miracles that point the way to the return to heaven. The world uses its special relationships as a final weapon of exclusion and a demonstration of separateness. Again, that's like special love. I love this person over here, but I don't love that person. Okay, that's obviously separateness and exclusion. The Holy Spirit transforms them into perfect lessons in forgiveness and in awakening from the dream. Each one is an opportunity to let perceptions be healed and errors corrected. So each special relationship, is an opportunity to let perceptions be healed and errors corrected. Each one is another chance to forgive oneself by forgiving the other. And each one becomes still another invitation to the Holy Spirit and to the remembrance of God. This is a rather long section, so this is going to be a little longer video than it's already been longer than normal, but we're going to keep going. Perception is a function of the body and therefore represents a limit on awareness. Perception, remember, so this is everything, your world as you see it, everything that's going on outside of you or even inside, but basically your life as you're living it in this world. So perception sees through the body's eyes and hears through the body's ears. It evokes the limited responses which the body makes. The body appears to be largely self-motivated and independent, yet it actually responds only to the invitations of the mind. If the mind wants to use it for attack in any form, it becomes prey to sickness, age, and decay. If the mind accepts the Holy Spirit's purpose for it instead, it becomes a useful way of communicating with others, invulnerable as long as it is needed, and to be gently laid by when its use is over. Of itself it is neutral, as is everything in the world of perception. Whether it is used for the goals of the ego or the Holy Spirit depends entirely on what the mind wants. Okay, so here he's introducing another big concept of the Course, this idea that we are not our body, that our body is part of perception, that it is a mistake. It's something that we made, a device that we made in order to keep us separate. I'm over here, that person's over there, okay? But when we give it to the Holy Spirit, we can take, which the Holy Spirit takes the things that, the errors that our perception sees and translates them to truth, brings them to useful for truth. So it can take our bodies and use it to extend love and communicate all of the things that the Course is going to communicate to us here. And what it's saying is that when we use our body as a way to be separate and attack ourselves and others, to judge and all of those things that go along with perception, that's when we get sick, that's when we have pain, that's when we get to see it, what's happening, because again, it's our perception, what's only happening in our mind, so we get to see what's in our mind. When we give our body over to Holy Spirit, when we're truly laying it on the altar, then He'll use it for whatever purpose it needs to be used, where to go, what to say, what to do. And then when it's no longer needed, it'll be just gently laid aside. And that doesn't mean also that there's like no perception of illness in the body that other people might not see, but the mind is not going there. The mind is at peace. So instead of the mind making a decision, I'm going to attack and I'm going to attack the body, the mind can make a decision that this body is only used for love. And then somebody tells me something and I have to go somewhere and meet some other people to take care of it that seems to have to do with my body. It's just being used as a vehicle to extend love to those people, whatever storyline the body is going to go on that is given to it by Holy Spirit. Okay? The opposite of seeing through the body's eyes is the vision of Christ, which reflects strength rather than weakness, unity rather than separation, and love rather than fear. The opposite of hearing through the body's eyes is communication through the voice for God, the Holy Spirit, which abides in each of us. His voice seems distant and difficult to hear because the ego, which speaks for the little separated self, seems to be much louder. This is actually reversed. The Holy Spirit speaks with unmistakable clarity and overwhelming appeal. No one who does not choose to identify with the body could possibly be deaf to his messages of release and hope, nor could he fail to accept joyously the vision of Christ in glad exchange for his miserable picture of himself. So we have this idea that we can't hear Holy Spirit. I can't barely hear it. I can't barely hear it. And there's also this thing, because we have all these other voices in our head, the ego, it speaks loudest and first and all of that. But that's actually not true. Like, Holy Spirit is speaking with unmistakable clarity and overwhelming appeal. We are choosing not to listen. Okay, we are choosing to be deaf to his messages. But that's going to change as we do this course. Christ's vision is the Holy Spirit's gift, God's alternative to the illusion of separation and the belief in the reality of sin, guilt, and death. It is the one correction for all errors of perception and reconciliation of the seeming opposites on which the world is based. Its kindly light shows all things from another point of view, reflecting the thought system that arises from knowledge and making return to God not only possible but inevitable. What was regarded as injustices done to one by someone else now becomes a call for help and for union. Sin, sickness, and attack are seen as misperceptions, calling for remedy through gentleness and love. Defenses are laid down because where there is no attack, there is no need for them. Our brothers' needs become our own because they are taking the journey with us as we go to God. Without us, they would lose their way. Without them, we could never find our own. So we get to use all these interactions with these seemingly separate people that we believe, or part of us believes is out there. And when we come to it kind of like in a lucid dream or awake, or know that, hey, this is just me, then everything is an opportunity to clean up what's in my mind and to release all of my blocks to love. Forgiveness is unknown in heaven, where the need for it would be inconceivable. However, in this world, forgiveness is a necessary correction for all the mistakes that we have made. To offer forgiveness is the only way for us to have it, for it reflects the law of heaven that giving and receiving are the same. Heaven is the natural state of all the sons of God as He created them. Such is their reality forever. It has not changed because it has been forgotten. Forgiveness is the means by which we will remember. Through forgiveness, the thinking of the world is reversed. The forgiven world becomes the gate of heaven, because by its mercy we can at last forgive ourselves. Holding no one prisoner to guilt, we become free. Acknowledging Christ in all our brothers, we recognize His presence in ourselves. Forgetting all our misperceptions, and with nothing from the past to hold us back, we can remember God. Beyond this, learning cannot go. When we are ready, God Himself will take the final step in our return to Him. And with that, we end the preface section of Course in Miracles. So that last part we're talking, so this is what we're learning to do. This is what the Course is for, to teach us how to forgive in its definition of forgiveness, which is, remembering that everything that I'm perceiving is coming from me, and it's not real unless it's love. Because the only thing that's real is love, and it can never be threatened. So if something seems to be unloving, that is my misperception. But that gives me the opportunity to now forgive that misperception and make the choice for love again. Okay? So I'm so glad that you were here on this journey with me. And we will be starting chapter 1 in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I love you.